What's up, buddies? Welcome to another FIFA 17 Ultimate Team player ratings video. Now, you guys went crazy on the likes of the last video. We smashed over 5,000. I promise you guys, if the video got that much support, which of course it did on a Friday no less, which is a day I never upload videos on, we would continue on with this FIFA 17 Ultimate Team player rating, team prediction video series. No idea really what I'm gonna call this. Not really a series anyway. But with, of course, Paul Pogba looming over us, we're gonna keep going with the Premier League. And of course, that does include Manchester United, because we're going from position 5 to position 8 in the Premier League table from last year. Now, I'm very excited to show you guys the Manchester United team first off, starting strong with Man United, and then we're finishing strong with the Liverpool squad. But I don't think there's gonna be too many arguments with this team. Definitely the formation I think that's gonna be used. Definitely the personnel that are making it into the starting 11 with the way things have looked in preseason, and then definitely the way things have looked at the start. Now, I have put players in here that are injured, of course, Smalling, etc. But I'm trying to go for like the most polished or the most possible final or the best setup for 2017 for Man United that I think is going to be there. Now, again, myself and my graphics guy, we've gone into great detail. We've changed up the player ratings up and down depending on, I think, if they deserve it. We've gone into the stats and changed them up to how I think EA is going to do. And starting right at the top, I actually do think that Zlatan is going to get dropped down, because that just seems what EA do with players that get older. They always just ruin their rating, and then they also ruin their pace for no real explanation other than the fact that they've gotten 1 year older. But I think Zlatan actually deserves to be upgraded. I think he should be at least rated 90 with how well he's done and for his age and how well he's proving already to be handling the Premier League. I think he deserves to be 90, but I thought to meet it in the middle and just decide that Zlatan will probably stay at an 89. One hot topic in there, I think maybe Wayne Rooney, people may not be happy with me dropping him down to an 85, but I do think, again, that's just the progression that EA goes with, and his card still looks fantastic. Martial getting a healthy boost, Mkhitaryan being one of the best players in the Bundesliga and making a nice move, I think he gets a nice boost. And of course, the man that's obviously on the thumbnail and obviously in the background of the intro, Paul Pogba, I think does get upgraded to an 87. I think maybe there'll be a lot of Man United fans that think of his price tag and all that stuff and think maybe he should be an 88 or 89 to start. A lot of people may think that Pogba really should just stay an 86. I think he is going to get an upgrade from EA, and I do think that's what his card's going to look like. Now, whether or not he actually ends up being used in like a right CDM role, or maybe in a more pushed up center mid role, or maybe he just ends up taking Rooney's spot. I don't know what Mourinho's plans are for Pogba within the team, but that's what I'm thinking is going to be. And I think undoubtedly the next biggest argument is going to be Daley Blind. Now, I think he's going to get into the CDM setup. I think Daley Blind's been one of the best players right now for United. And that's very early stages, you know, first game, and you've got the Community Shield and you've got preseason. But Daley Blind has been fantastic. I've had a lot of Man United fans tell me that he plays very well. He's very consistent, and Daley Blind has done very well at center back. But I do think once Smalling gets back healthy, Smalling goes right into the center back role. And I think Mourinho's just going to be so impressed or like him so much that he continues using Blind in the CDM role. And if he doesn't, and if I'm wrong with that in terms of the final setup for Man United, then I actually do think that Marwan Fellaini might get into that position, because you know what? Over the last few games that I've watched from Fellaini, he's been incredible in the midfield. And I think Luke Shaw and Valencia respectively get those nice upgrades. Valencia's just, what a versatile player now, and apparently Mourinho likes him way more than Darmian, so I think he's definitely going to get into the starting setup. I don't think many people are going to disagree with Smalling, and even Bailly getting his nice upgrade. He's been fantastic and consistently one of Man United's man of the matches, or men of the matches over the last few games. So I think Bailly is definitely going to be in the starting setup with Smalling. Luke Shaw's absolutely fantastic coming back and is rapid as ever, even after his leg injury. And finally, David De Gea. Now again, huge Man United fans or De Gea fans may get angry that he isn't like an 88 or 89, especially if Neuer stays at a 90 rated, because you gotta just argue that De Gea's up there as well. But I just think the way EA is going to push things and progress things, I can't see them pushing him higher than an 87, and already that card looks fantastic. Now into 6th place is Southampton, and this is a team that I struggled with. I don't really follow Southampton. I don't really know what's going on with them. Haven't even paid attention to them much at the start of the season or in the preseason or anything like that, or their transfers. So I used a lot of the community, the Nick Nation. I asked a lot in my streams. I asked a lot on Twitter what people thought the setup would be, how people thought the team looked, and this is what I came up with, and I'm actually pretty happy with it based off of how the team started out. Redmond going up front. Now, whether or not he gets those stats, I'm not entirely sure, but I do think this is pretty good. So if anyone's a huge Southampton fan, season. Let me know in the comments down below if I got the team pretty decent. I think one of the ones that people may disagree with is that I don't have Højbjerg in there. I think Højbjerg is a fantastic player, incredible coming from Bayern, great signing and great potential. I just don't know where he would end up going in the team. A lot of people may think he should go at CDM instead of Oriol Romeu, but Højbjerg isn't an out-and-out CDM, not from anything that I've seen from him, and that is a limited amount, but this is what I think the starting 11 is going to be. As far as I know, Davis is the captain of the team, so I can't really see Højbjerg replacing him. Ward-Prowse is fantastic, Tadic is fantastic, Long is fantastic, did great in the Euros, Redmond again, you know, already doing decently well, and then I believe, hopefully this doesn't prove me wrong here, I'm just incorrect here, but I believe for the time being that Fonte is still at Southampton. I know that there's a few Premier League clubs that want him, but hopefully when you guys are watching this video, he's still with the team and maybe, hopefully has decided to stay. Now, moving into 7th place is West Ham, and I do have to say, I was going into building this setup, or what I thought the FIFA 17 Ultimate Team would look like for West Ham, very confidently. But then I started looking at all the signings, and of course all the injuries that West Ham have going on, and all the players that they have in their setup, and then Payet, where I would put him, and then I just started getting completely lost with how I would put together the starting 11 of this team. So again, if you're a huge West Ham fan, let me know how I've done. I think based off of everything, this is the best setup. I'm actually really proud of putting this together, and I do think there's going to be a lot of maybe French fans or maybe some diehard West Ham fans that are saying, well, why the hell are you not, if you think you know what you're doing, why are you not using Payet at left wing, which is where he played a lot for France, of course, and I think West Ham fans will agree, or at least let me know that he did end up playing there quite a bit for West Ham as well. But I'm just going with Bilic, maybe now finally pushing him through the middle, keeping him through the middle. Now, Lanzini could go there as well, of course. There's a lot of players. Nordveit, a lot of people are going to argue, could get into the midfield as well. But I think with the signings they made in the team, now Ayew actually, I think in one of his last games, got injured. So I don't know if this is going to be entirely accurate. I don't know what the extent of his injury is. But for the time being, this is going to be the starting 11. I don't think they're going to spend this much money on a player like Ayew and not include him in the team. So the front setup, I think, is good. You could get Torre in there as well, the Turkish guy, instead of Feguli maybe. But once everyone is fit, I do see it being Feguli, Carroll, and Ayew. But again, it could change so much based off of how Bilic decides to put the team. It could be Payet, then Valencia at striker, then Feguli on the right wing, or Torre on the right wing, or maybe Antonio finally gets pushed up the wing. So many different possibilities. And unfortunately for Antonio, he did give away a penalty at the right back position in the last game, so not even entirely sure if he's going to stay here anymore. Sam Byron, who West Ham took from Leeds United, could get into the setup. I wasn't thinking he'd get into the starting 11, not for a while. I think once he's back, Cresswell will get right into the team. And then the center backs maybe is up for debate as well. Does Collins, apparently who's like Pele for smashing in goals, get in there? Does he replace Reed? I don't think he replaces Reed, but does he replace Ogbonna? So I decided to go with Ogbonna and Reed as the starting setup. You guys let me know what you think. And of course, Adrian in goal. And last but not least, rounding us off at number 8, and a team that's slowly making me think that they may actually push for a top 4, maybe even a Premier League finish, especially watching them early on this season. Mane has looked electric. Anyways, I couldn't decide on what type of a formation to use for this team. I went with a 4-1-4-1. I saw a lot of Liverpool fans recommend that and say that that is the type of setup, or the base setup that Klopp is going with of course Coutinho and Mane really pushing up the field. But I think the team is good, and again, really with all of these teams, I had a tough time selecting a few players. Sturridge with his head in his hands is actually a really funny play by my graphic artist, because he was one of the guys that I just didn't know, is he going to get into the setup? I've seen how much Klopp loves using Firmino. Firmino's now basically being used up front at striker. There's Origi, who's actually doing very well. I just think a healthy Daniel Sturridge gets into the team. You guys let me know, Liverpool fans, if you agree with that in terms of the striker position. Then working into the center mid setup, another place I had issue with. Now, does Henderson just get left out entirely? Does Gio Wijnaldum, who they spent a big chunk of money on, get left out entirely? Among a whole host of other players, but I do think that Firmino and Lallana will get into the starting 11 in the midfield. Out on the wings, I don't think that's up for debate at all. I think it's going to be Coutinho and Mane, and I think those upgrades, not many of you guys are going to disagree with. Based off of how Mane's been doing, I think he's already working his way to getting into the team of the season. I know it's early stages, but he's just such a good player, and I think a lot of Liverpool fans would look at that and say, well, he's so good, he probably deserves an 82 rating or something like that. I'm sticking with 80 for the time being, and I do see Mane probably getting a January upgrade, maybe to an 82. Another one that may cause a little bit of an argument is, of course, Emre Can at the center mid or the holding mid spot. I think he's a great player, but a lot of people saying that Klopp hasn't used him in the starting 11s. I think of the first game of the season, he came on as a sub. So no idea what you guys feel about that, but I think that's a great spot for him. He'll do very, very well. And you know what? I want to move right into the center back slot, because that is a set of positions that I have so much of a problem with, because you've got Matip, of course you have Sacco in the setup. A lot of people saying or telling me that Klavan is both becoming a Liverpool fan favorite, and apparently Klopp absolutely loves the guy. So instead of Sacco, who, again, Liverpool fans have been telling me that he's had a falling out with Klopp. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what people have told me. So a lot of you guys thinking maybe you don't know the intricacies or the ins and outs of Liverpool would say, why the hell do you have Klavan then there when Sacco should be in there, or at least when he's back? Apparently there's been a little bit of a falling out with Klopp, so I'm thinking with how everyone is liking Klavan and how he's performing, he gets into the setup. Now, the other side of the argument, of course, is going to be Lovren. I think, you know, long gone are the days where we could all make fun of Lovren and how poorly he plays and all of that stuff. He's been absolutely fantastic, and I do think he gets into the setup, but honestly, maybe Matip works into that spot as well. And then working over to the left side of the field, Mr. Fantastic, Mr. Consistent, Mr. Jack of all trades, James Milner, I think will be set up in the left back position when he's back healthy. Honestly, just watching again Maren Lull at the start of the season, it's like he's carried on his terrible performances from last year in the Europa League. Remember when Moreno was just the worst player in that last game? Well, he's taken it into the start of the season. He's given away a penalty, and then within a minute of the penalty being saved, he was caught out of position again for Walcott to score from the spot that he should have been marking. So I just, honestly, I do think when Milner's back and ready to go that he gets into the setup. Whether or not you guys agree, let me know also if you agree with Karius just instantly taking Mignolet's spot once he's ready to go for the season. And I think an 81 rating for Karius is very deserved. And that, of course, rounds out all the teams done. I had to go back to the Man United setup, both because it pains me that this is such a nice looking team, and Zlatan. I mean, I'm hoping at some point early on in FIFA 17 Ultimate Team, when we're smashing packs for the Pack God series, we can get that beautiful card. And as I've said a few times, please let me know in the comments what you guys think of the teams. I love having discussions with you all in terms of who I should bring in terms of who I missed, but don't be one of those scrub lords that literally is just offensive in the comments saying, you're a Canadian prick, you really shouldn't even be taught, you don't know anything about the Premier League, go back to watching hockey and all that dumb stuff. Because if there is certain things that I don't know, I admit to it, especially with the Southampton setup. I do as much research as I can in terms of what the teams are set up, how they're being set up, what the managers are doing, the players that are in or out. I use you guys who I think are super fans of the certain teams I'm looking at as advice givers as well. I do as much work as possible, and it actually does quite piss me off when I see people in the comments saying I have no idea what I'm talking about. So on that, thank you so much for watching, and as always, we'll catch you on the flip side. Peace!